You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Go for it, Jim. Climb the ladder, kid. Make yourself famous.
A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, 1/3 of the new OTM pay-per-view champions, Kyle Gagliardi, and I'm joined by the man who is not a third of the OTM pay-per-view champions. He is my good friend, Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Tucky!
What's going on, Kyle? Forgot to mention 100% title holder of the NXT title right now.
Yeah, and that's under protest since you didn't even bring my championship belt over to record today.
I didn't bring the third of your championship.
No, I hold it all. No. They're just like background players. No. They're mid-card guys. I'm the main event. I'm must-see. I'm must-listen, you know?
Whatever narrative helps you fall asleep at night.
You know what? When I said your name in Otis's voice, it kind of made me feel weird now.
I know it.
Things have changed a little bit in the WWE, which we would definitely get to. But, hey, what have you been up to? It's been a couple weeks since we last recorded a podcast.
Life is good. You know, that's about all I got.
Doing some training, right?
Yeah,
training some kids.
Yeah, training, coaching. We're in that off-season swing where it's like a couple different nights a week. I'll be doing private lessons and coaching and things like that. So,
why didn't you acknowledge my response on Facebook?
I don't know.
I said I needed help with my wiffle swing.
Let me know.
I'm not going to pay you anything.
Yeah. If we ain't talking money, I don't want to talk.
A wise man once said that.
But if we're talking wrestling, I'll talk for free.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do every week, kind of.
We get it in. If it's not a podcast, it's a video. We get it in.
And oh no, go ahead.
The videos, they can be found on YouTube for the Overtime Sports Network.
That's right, Tucky. And the last one got a lot of views. We eclipsed the 50 view mark, which is very solid for a pay-per-view preview. If you want to check that out and all the other YouTube content, just go to YouTube and type in Overtime Sports Network, which we are a part of. They got a new web domain, otsportsnetwork.wixsite.com/OTSN. And if you were to be on Twitter or Instagram, Tuck, where would you go to follow OTSN?
That's easy. @_OTSN. Baby. That's why I make sure the pause was in so you didn't think that was part of the tag. But yes, @_OTSN on Twitter and Insta.
Yeah, and speaking of OTSN, Mikey Wilson of the Region Degenerates podcast, a guy we've brought up numerous times, 1/3 of the OTM pay-per-view champions, just texted me that his blog is ready to go, so I'm going to have to proofread that after this.
Mikey Wilson, what a guy.
So go ahead and check that out, otsportsnetwork.wixsite.com/OTSN. And we got some news for next week's live video.
Breaking news update.
You want to tell them what we're doing next Saturday?
Oh, we're going live, baby. 4 p.m. at the new Overtime Sports Network video studio. Probably I have to get all the pieces in place, but we're going to try a new setup, different setup, feel, see how it goes.
Yeah, and the reason we are going live is for AEW's Full Gear pay-per-view. Card's looking pretty solid so far. I think we're going to have ourselves a nice little show there.
Yeah, no Mikey Wilson in attendance.
Why?
He's got a group outing.
That is the lamest excuse. What is a group outing for? What?
Him and his couple and a couple.
Oh,
other
like couple dates. Yeah. Okay, that's what you're. See, I don't get into that stuff.
Weekend trip, yeah.
So I don't have a couple to do
I have found a formidable replacement in Tyler Walk. He will be in attendance.
At times, yeah, he might be more tolerable than Mikey Wilson, but I guess it's okay if he joins us.
Yeah.
Ian Garavalia will be with us, the AEW champion of the podcast.
Lavogues.
Ian Vogus will be there. Hopefully it doesn't flood like last time we were over.
Weather report right now says not 12 inches of rain.
That was wild.
That was a wild situation.
That day was off the rails, but hey, we got some good food and we spent some quality time together watching AEW. So if you're an AEW fan, tune in on our Twitter account. That's where you'll be able to find us at Pod on the Mark, 4 p.m. Central, next Saturday, November 7th, right before the kickoff show. You got your OTM kickoff. So you just plan your day around us, right?
Yes. Here's my question. Pizza or grill?
We probably should have went grill last time because it was summer. I think grilling is more like a summer vibe to me, at least. So I would say pizza. That's my vote. But, we could put that on Twitter, too, because the polls with food seem to do very well.
Food does not discriminate. You know what I mean? There is no line as there may be in professional wrestling. So we will let the Twitterverse figure it out, I guess. Yeah,
I mean, I got a poll that I did on my personal account. I was curious on what people watched on Wednesdays, whether it was just NXT, just AEW, or they did a little mixture of both. And from my personal followers on my account at 2SweetKyle, NXT had majority of the votes.
That's surprising.
I wonder if it's just my followers,
yeah, it's your niche. It's your pocket.
Because WWE is where I started tweeting about, and I just recently got an AEW, as did you, but we've been enjoying AEW. I watched this week's Dynamite right before we recorded, but you haven't watched it,
I haven't seen it. Nope.
Sorry, we won't talk about AEW this week, then.
Not up in here.
Not up in here! And did I just blow the eardrums off that thing?
I have one good one, and it's gone.
I hope everybody that's listening on their cars right now, bogus. Friday morning.
Somebody has crashed.
On your way to Walmart. Hopefully you're all right. But hey, Hell in a Cell happened this past Sunday. The match card wasn't lengthy. We about had 5 or 6 matches. But overall, I thought this is one of the better pay-per-views we got in 2020.
The best pay-per-view.
Better than Mania?
Yes.
Really?
Yep. Because Mania had 2 nights. They had one really good night, and the other one was okay.
That's true. You're talking about the really good one being Saturday, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Which is weird because you think they would have made their Sunday show the must-see WrestleMania. But yeah, Saturday was great.
So that in my view, Hell in a Cell has gotten my highest praise as a pay-per-view from WWE this year. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It's rare nowadays, especially when there's no fans in the stands, to always have my attention on the TV screen. And I felt like they had me. Like, I didn't want to get up and go take a dump or go pour myself another drink. I wanted to stay and watch because I feel like I was going to miss something, you know?
And I felt the same way. If I had to move, it was up on my phone. I wasn't walking away from the screen.
No, and that's rare.
The pay-per-view was coming with me if I had something to do.
It's very rare, especially with WWE lately. But they kicked things off with a bang. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso for the Universal title. This went on for some time, which I liked because that's exactly what I feel like the story here needed. Jimmy Uso ended up getting involved towards the end of this matchup, but he couldn't handle all that Jey was being put through, so that's why he came out. Jey virtually had to say, I quit for Jimmy because Roman had us there for a second when Jimmy came out and was talking about, hey, we're family, man. You can't do this. Roman starts tearing up right there. How about that acting right there from Roman Reigns?
Yeah, a powerful moment, and it shows that there can be another layer done well.
Yeah, we didn't get to see that when Roman was doing his babyface stuff.
Right.
Like, we just got this one version of Roman Reigns, and that was it. Now he's showing us he can do other things out there.
Well, and all of this came from a Roman Reigns-Uso match. Like, you know what I mean? At first glance, when that became a program, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. But now, I'm in.
Yeah, it's when you bring family into it, and you had Afa and Sika come out after that match, and those are guys you just don't see ever on TV. You know it's a big deal when those two are coming out. The Wild Samoans, that's history right there.
Yep.
So overall, Roman Reigns obviously wins that match, but when I finished watching that opener, I thought to myself, I would rather take this style of match. It wasn't great by like a wrestling standpoint. Like, it had its moments, but like with the story involved and just being able to hear the dialogue between the two, I will take this style of match over a spot fest any day.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, I think there are many people that can do spot fest. With how accessible wrestling is now, you can find one anywhere. I don't know that you can find that type of match anywhere. So hats off.
That's WWE level stuff. That's like only they can pull that off. And it seemed like Hell in a Cell was the perfect venue for that too. And then you got to give props to the Usos too, because kind of like what you said when we first heard about this feud, we were kind of like,
All right.
it's okay. These are tag team guys, and we have this one of them going at the belt. But Jey Uso elevated himself to Roman Reigns' level. They brought real life story into it, and we got the payoff here at Hell in a Cell, and it was awesome.
No doubt.
Do you think that was the right decision to open with this, though?
I mean, it's with the 3 Hell in a Cell matches, you could have put them really in any order.
It's tough.
They were all great, but I do think that kept me going, right? Like, okay, let's see what the rest of the card looks like. But there is that moment of like, is the rest of the show going to be as good as it was?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like when that happened, I was like, all right, who's going to follow that?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Elias and Jeff Hardy didn't, but it served its purpose there as being that stopgap until we got to the next big matchup on the card, and then they're going to continue with the Elias and Jeff Hardy story. But the one last thing I will say about that opening match is being able to hear every word that they said to each other. It made everything feel so much more personal, and it added weight to an already heavy situation that was going on emotionally. So I think overall, you can't top that. And honestly, it might be a match of the year candidate for me.
Oh yeah,
just based off the story itself, which
No doubt.
is crazy to think about. But other news that happened, it seemed like Hell in a Cell actually had a lot of headlines. One of them obviously being The Miz is now new Mr. Money in the Bank. What are we thinking about that?
This is the one regret I have from my picks, because I felt in my heart that it made. Why would they have it if they didn't want to flip the briefcase? But everyone else went Otis, and I wanted to punt to try to hold the point in our rankings.
Soft.
So that was my one, son of a gun. I took some risks with my picks and didn't pay off all the time, but it makes sense. It's not like they've thrust the briefcase on a high-level guy, but Miz, I think, is a little more equipped to do something with it. So
I think he's going to be able to provide more than what Otis had. And this match itself, it wasn't a wrestling clinic by any means, but I think the right man ended up winning this. We saw, obviously, Tucky cost Otis there at the end.
Yeah.
Hit him with the briefcase. I honestly didn't see that one coming, but...
Nor did I.
Yeah, that was a nice little swerve that they gave us at Hell in a Cell. And then we got The Miz on Raw now with the briefcase. And you will find out later, if you haven't watched Hell in a Cell, Randy Orton is the new champion. And Otis wasn't going to do anything with that on SmackDown.
Nope.
Let's be honest. Did he have any chance of cashing in on Roman Reigns?
Oh, no. Because how weak does Roman look after a cash in? You could throw Roman off of a 10-story building and have Otis cash in, but then you're like, come on, man. Otis? Roman? Otis? So.
Yeah, so having him on Raw, you at least can make it more reasonable of a cash-in, because we know The Miz has won a WWE Championship before. He has history. 10 years ago, he cashed it in on Randy Orton, so they're going to have that storyline floating amongst other storylines that you could have for the WWE title picture. But one last question I wanted to ask you in terms of Otis is, do you think not having the live crowd there killed his momentum that he was gaining at the early 2020?
Well, you harken back to a future Hall of Famer and someone like No Way Jose, right? And No Way Jose has become completely irrelevant without people and without fans. So I do think, humor aside, that Otis strongly benefits from a live crowd. And without that, makes it tough.
Yeah, I think it has a little bit to do with it, but I don't think it was fair to put him with the briefcase. At the time, with the match and how it was presented, it was cool. But once we found out Roman Reigns was the Universal Champion and then Drew McIntyre is doing his own thing on Raw, there was just no logical way to have Otis cash in,
Right, and that's always been the tough part of this pandemic is availability of guys, who's in, who's out, quarantine, this, that, COVID. So we get it on Otis. We get that pop from Money in the Bank, which was an awesome match.
That's cool.
And then so-and-so becomes available. This piece shifts in. We can do that. So they were caught in a tough spot, but we also have to remember that they're booking and writing and drafting without really knowing what all they're going to have at every time. What happens if Roman Reigns gets COVID? What happens if so? You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of unpredictability, and I don't know. I think they might have had it in the back of their mind that Roman was going to be back, obviously, but how soon? There were
We
questions.
knew the plan was for Roman to get the strap because he was going to beat Goldberg at WrestleMania.
Yep.
That's what Braun Strowman ended up doing. So we knew eventually we were getting to Roman. I just don't think they knew when. So it kind of put Otis in this no man's land. And then they're splitting him from Tucky and putting him on different brands. And now it's like, oh, where do you go for here with Otis? Mm-hmm. And then that's what we're going to have to find out here. But I think he's got enough charisma where he can stay afloat, maybe in the mid-card or something like that.
Yeah, and see what the reaction's like once we get back to live crowds.
Which hopefully...
Come on!
We just want some live crowds, man, and not that 15% or 10 people in the NXT arena.
WrestleMania in a 20% capacity building is
we'll take
is not
anything.
Going to scratch the itch. But now Florida is basically wide open, and
Florida going to Florida.
The NFL has said we're going to go 15%, 20% capacity. 13,000 fans.
Yeah,
and in February for the Super Bowl, the WrestleMania ain't that far after.
No, it's
and there's
2 months.
We're 7 going on 8 months into this thing. It's been crazy, but
dude, I can't believe we're still talking.
We're
about
almost
it.
at a spot where it's hard to imagine thinking about going into a building with 20,000 people in it, going to 5 shows in 6 days.
That still feels like a year away.
There's no way.
Like
right?
I feel like we are not going to be able to enjoy live events with full capacity until 2022.
Yeah, like Survivor Series next year, probably not.
No, I would say, and these people are like, "Oh, I can't wait till 2021 gets here." They're probably not going to get much better.
No, dude. And I hope this is the only time it happens in our lifetime. Right?
Yeah, we don't deserve it twice.
So many people have dealt with it, and I just hope we learn so much out of it, and we get a ton from it. But man, I'm excited to feel a building shake, to feel the heat from the pyro 500 feet away, and I think Otis is welcoming that as well. He's going to need
a lot of people are, and even the people that are seeking heat, like the heels. Mm-hmm. Like, could you imagine Pat McAfee right now with a crowd?
Right,
like, he'd be getting heat.
And it goes back to something that kind of Jericho said months ago. You're doing your stuff, and you're not figuring out until like you have to seek social media to see
check Twitter,
how things are going,
which is weird
because you're not getting that instant reaction, which can influence your thoughts at home. You're sitting on the couch, and the entire crowd, the entire arena is behind or against the guy.
Yeah, they're booing him. Oh, screw that guy. Yeah,
I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
there's 20,000, 15,000 people that agree with me or disagree, and
absolutely,
it's just weird.
Weird. Hopefully soon, but yeah, we'll find out. Back to Hell in the Cell, though. The match that I think was the match of the night, Sasha Banks, she won the SmackDown Women's Championship against Bayley. I mean, between the physicality that we got, the spots that these two had, it was once again can't miss stuff from two of, if not the two best female wrestlers in the business.
I hearken back to TakeOver Brooklyn, which I did not see live. That was not during my wrestling phase. That was appointment viewing for me, homework. And I went into this match expecting that caliber, and we exceeded it. And hats off to Bayley and Sasha, both of them. Great match, creative, not kitschy, not too kitschy, trying to overcreate spots, which, WWE's not afraid to do. Hard-hitting, aggressive. There was substance behind it. I felt that they were in a fight,
and you could tell there was real emotion there too. Like, these are two real life best friends, former best friends on screen, playing out this story and knocking the shit out of one another. I mean, like, it was awesome to watch. Various weapons were being used in creative ways. We got kendo sticks. We got Bayley's infamous chair that she's been using to, attack Sasha Banks, and Sasha Banks wins with the bank statement, new women's champion. Probably the right call to pull the trigger here now.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how long you could go without. If Bayley wins, how does that affect Sasha? I don't,
I was worried they were going to try to prolong it.
Well, Mikey was too. That was his pick. He picked Bayley.
And it would make sense, too. But I think Bayley had her time, and it was a very solid run, especially towards the end of it. I think she started to pick up steam. But Sasha Banks, one of the best in the business. It was good to see her get that moment there. That's the one I thought should have main evented.
In hindsight.
And WWE loves to go out on a positive.
Mm-hmm.
And out of this whole show, that's probably the best positive you got.
And Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre were up to a tough test because when you watch a Hell in a Cell show, not every Hell in a Cell match is bonkers.
That one was.
Up to that point, 2 for 2 in 2 different ways.
Yes.
Pulled on you, exhausted you as a viewer in 2 separate ways. Drew and Randy was also another great match.
It was good, yeah.
Put that on another Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Hats off, A+, great job. But they went up against a very tough hand of 2 really good matches.
Yeah, you said the word exhausting, and I think that actually is a fair way to describe it, because after I finished that Sasha match, I'm a big Sasha fan myself. I was very happy. I was like, wow, that was awesome. How can anyone top this? I'm like, oh, my God. We have a WWE Championship match right after this in the same venue. Well, not right after because we got Slapjack versus Bobby Lashley. How could we forget?
Well, talk about a cool down.
Talk about Retribution just not winning.
Yeah.
At all. Just
ass.
Like, you want to know how you can kill a good thing after you find out Ali's the leader? Just have them lose everything they do.
Yep.
That's what's happening right now. But the main event, which we've referenced a couple times already, the WWE Championship match, Randy Orton became the 14-time world champion. Randy would actually attack Drew before this match even started. It had a lot going on outside of the cell and inside. Not much actual chain wrestling in this one, but it had enough where it would keep your attention on the outside, slamming the body into the cell and all that. But this match, of course, like a lot of Hell in a Cell matches lately, made its way to the top of the cell. I want to ask you this because I have my opinion. How do you feel about top of the cell spots?
Well, I mean, I enjoy them, but the top of the Hell in a Cell is not this massive creative landscape. It's a flat fence. And there's a lot of jostling to try to get footing and things like that. Put one of their asses through the top of the cell again, throw them. But you can tell they're going for safety. Safety is we're going to go to the side of the cage and fall up. Sure. So there's always that want of a big old spot, but the other 2 matches didn't need it.
I don't think this needed it. That's what I was going to say. I'm not a big fan of those spots anymore. They serve its purpose back in the day with Undertaker, Mankind, Rikishi, all those spots that we got. Hell, Shane McMahon just a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. I don't think this feud needed to go because those 2 styles, Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, they're not like the climbing, go to the top, and get all edgy with things.
Right.
They like to keep their feet on the ground, and they like to beat ass.
Yep.
So I thought going to the top of the cell in this match kind of actually ruined it a little bit for me, but overall, it was a very solid match. Like you said, being on a card with all those good Hell in a Cell matches probably didn't help. But Randy Orton winning wasn't something that you or I saw coming.
Or Vogus.
That's true. Were you really surprised? Because when Randy won, I wasn't too surprised.
No, I wasn't blown away, aghast or anything like. No, I get it.
But I'm not mad about it either.
No, because now again, this will not be Drew's only reign.
Oh no,
Drew is on 1, seeking 2. Randy's on 14.
Yeah.
They're at different parts of their journeys. So I think it was a good first run. Drew held the title well without fans.
Very good, yeah.
And here we are.
And what's crazy, too, as Randy Orton gets his 14th reign, he's only 40.
I know, right?
He could keep going.
There's plenty of juice.
He's not going to do what Cena did, Batista, The Rock. He's not a movie star. That guy's a professional wrestler. And he could be like a Jericho. Chris Jericho's what? 48 or something like that. Randy Orton still got some time. He's 49, Chris Jericho is.
And there's the beauty in pro wrestling is you can shape it. We talk so many times about how so-and-so will benefit from working with this guy, that guy. The Undertaker did really well against AJ Styles in that cinematic match.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Styles could do a little bit more. So the pairings, the older you get, I think the pairings become more important. But I think he still has plenty of good juice. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a 15-time.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if down the road, maybe a year or two, there's a match between John Cena and Randy Orton for the belt, and it's to get the 17th that breaks Ric Flair's. Mm-hmm. They have these two modern-era stars, the faces of the business, go at it just to break Ric Flair's record.
And they WWE likes the record.
Especially nowadays, like New Day breaking the tag record. CM Punk originally broke the WWE record. Like, they're moving on from these older, records. And that's how they should be. You build new talent, new stars and all that. But after the matchup, and then on Monday Night Raw, it seemed like The Fiend might be next for the Viper, or do you think maybe Drew's going to have one more left in the tank, or are they going to probably hit the pause button on Drew and wait?
Pause it.
Yeah.
Yep, put him in another interesting program as he's, on the chase, and then see how The Fiend and Randy Orton look.
Why does The Fiend have to be in the title picture all the time?
Yep.
You know who should be in the title picture? Alexa Bliss.
Well, yeah. I mean,
like, now that she's in, 100% with The Fiend, like that's the one that we need to put in the title picture, because I'm actually really interested in what she's doing. But
yeah, I agree.
Overall, you're the teacher. I always got to ask you, give me a grade. Hell in a Cell.
A minus. 91.
And you said it was the best of the year.
Yeah.
You're telling me there was no other pay-per-view that was in the A's?
No, because they do a lot of shit that pisses you off to bring the grade down.
Yeah, I guess that's
more.
Fair. Now that I think about it,
stronger derogatory marks. Now there have been Fastlane was better than you thought. Money in the Bank was better than you thought.
Yeah.
Payback was just wow. So there, but a show being better than you imagine when you go in with low expectations. I had fair expectations for this one, and they were exceeded. They kept the show at 3 hours. Love it. Life is good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd probably say A- as well. I think that's a fair grade for this show, because other than Slapjack and Bobby Lashley, everything on the card had its meaning. It delivered.
Yeah.
Even the Jeff Hardy and Elias thing wasn't great, but if you're going from that intense of an opening to another intense Hell in a Cell match, you need a match like that.
There's a lot to be said about managing the audience, even if every single person's at home. I do believe that. Yeah,
so Hell in a Cell overall, very good show. We're going to go from one show to the next here in the WWE. Finish out with some Halloween Havoc talk. Were you watching this live last night?
Yes.
Me too.
My wife and I.
The wifey was watching.
Yes.
What'd she think?
She was Instagramming food, so
she didn't like Shotzi Blackheart's get up.
She entertained.
I'm not a big Shotzi guy, but she was looking good in those costumes.
Christmas colors though, with the green and the red.
I know, but hey, if you're gonna have anybody host Halloween Havoc, why not be Shotzi Blackheart?
I agree.
And they started off with a bang too in the North American Championship match. Going into it though, be honest with me, who did you think was going to win?
I thought Priest was going to retain.
I said Priest on the AWI pod preview.
Yeah. So I just thought, but not mad about it after the match. The one, do they have the wheel rigged to land on that?
I think so. Somebody's got to be behind the wheel.
Do you weight the other side of the wheel so that weight's always going to counter at the end or something? I don't know.
It did abruptly stop both times.
Yeah.
I did notice that, but it landed on the Devil's Playground match, which we would find out it's virtually a false count anywhere.
Yeah, and here's my thing. They were like, Devil's Playground, ding, ding, ding. Like, why not?
They know right away.
Why not go to break, act like, you're kind of preparing both competitors with the rules and things like that. As we come back from break, ding, 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 Devil's Playground, here's what we're looking at.
How do they know, right away? Yep, Devil's Playground.
Here we go.
I've trained that in the wrestling dungeon.
Same thing with the women's match at the end, Tables, ladders, and scares. Sweet.
That one's kind of self-explanatory, though.
Well, I get it, but
And also, I think the title didn't get put up until they went to commercial for that tables, ladders, and scares. Because if you put it up in the rafters before the wheel spins.
But that announce it. Okay, we're going to go to break to get this all set up. You know, it would make it, to me, feel a little bit more random. But.
That's fair. Yeah, so this opening match, it was kind of all over the place, literally. Backstage spots, and then the final spot that they had happened there on their set. But what happened there at the end is we saw a masked person in one of those scream masks hit Priest with a pipe, and then Gargano would then follow it up with the tombstone to the head. Knocked Priest down a couple stories, it seemed like. He took a pretty good fall there. Hits the cover, 1, 2, 3. Overall thoughts on this opening match here for the North American Championship?
Is this masked person now aligned with Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano?
I will ask that at the end. I want you to guess and start brainstorming on who you think the masked person is. But what do you think of the match itself here?
I was good with it. I thought it was a good match. Interested to see what happens with Johnny Gargano.
It's a safe bet, and I like I said, I picked Priest as well. But like, you can't go wrong with Johnny Gargano being the champion.
Mm-hmm. And now you do have the spot where Priest said, I got hit with a pipe. You had extra help.
The guy was there, a girl. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was Johnny Gargano, the very first 2-time NXT North American Championship. Hopefully, Damian Priest will be able to get his title back eventually, because I think he's got a lot of potential.
I enjoyed it,
yeah. And that match was a good way to start off the show. Very fun vibes I got from the very opening, like with Shotzi opening it up and just the set in general. Obviously, me and you never watched Halloween Havoc back in the day, but like, I'd be cool at seeing this every year.
Well, and that was what when I was explaining it to Miss. I'm like, we got to watch NXT tonight. It's Halloween Havoc. She's like, what's that? And I'm like, well, I don't super know either. It's a throwback that I'm not super familiar with, but
like the Great American Bash.
Yeah. I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, they done good with these special shows, and it shows in the ratings. Like, if you look at the ratings this week, NXT had more overall viewers than AEW.
Yep.
Of course, the key demo didn't hit.
Yeah, the demo.
But where's the demo got there? Yeah. But very solid way to start off the show. And then later on, we saw Pat McAfee make his return to NXT. He cut a promo with his two new friends, the NXT Tag Team Champions, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. First off, going back a couple weeks here, when Pat McAfee was revealed as the attacker, what were your thoughts on all that? Him aligning with Burch and Lorcan?
I think it's cool. It's a way to keep him relevant, but he doesn't have to be in action every single time. He's forming a little bit of a stable and a faction, and it's not his cronies from the podcast that aren't, he's got good workers with him.
He's got professional wrestlers.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, he adds to the stable by the end of the mix-up, and cool.
Yeah, he's a heat magnet, too. In this promo, Kyle O'Reilly would then come out to interrupt, followed by the returning Pete Dunne. We saw him over in the UK the past couple weeks, but he's returned to the US NXT, and it looked like Pete Dunne at first was there to assist Kyle O'Reilly since all the other undisputed guys were not able to be there, but he ended up hitting Kyle O'Reilly with a chair. So now McAfee has a little bit of a stable going here. Pete Dunne seems to be with him, as is Lorcan and Burch, and I think Dunne was kind of the replacement here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught it in the promo. He said he called Ridge Holland.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, hey, I got a couple guys over here that I want to, offer some money to. So I think Ridge Holland was originally the guy they were going with, but it's an upgrade to get Pete Dunne, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's a guy that everybody knows. He's had great matches. Remember when he had a match, I believe, who was it with when we attended War Games? Wasn't he in a match?
Yeah. I can't remember.
Blanket. Was it Damian Priest?
Might have been.
I think Damian Priest and Killian Dane, triple threat. That's what it was.
There you go. And Pete Dunne versus Adam McAfee at a takeover down the road.
Yeah, I mean
there's the turn. Pete Dunne doesn't want to be the show boy or show pony anymore.
Yeah, because he seems like an alpha.
Yeah,
he's not going to put up with McAfee forever.
Right.
But you know what they're setting up for here, Tom?
No.
War Games.
I knew it.
It's obvious. I mean, it's going to be cool though.
Yeah. Throwing McAfee into a War Games match.
Here, Pat, your second match in WWE.
Thank you for coming to NXT. First, we're going to have you square off against Adam Cole. We trust Adam Cole, but you got to make sure it delivers.
Yeah, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and it's a War Games match. You're going to get the shit knocked out of you.
Good luck.
Yeah, he played football. He could handle it.
He is going to crush it. Pat McAfee. The bar is set high, and I think he will exceed it.
When it comes to sports entertainment, I mean that in all sports, Pat McAfee is at the pinnacle of that list. So he's going to bring in views for sure to the product, and I can't wait to see if that War Games match actually happens. But a thing that was happening here at Halloween Havoc, we got a Haunted House of Terror match between Dexter Lumis and Cameron Grimes.
See, my heart was being pulled in many directions.
You like both of these dudes.
Yes, and in this situation, I was hoping Dexter Lumis would take care of it because this is spooky, creepy, eerie, weird. And it was fine.
I think it was a nice little touch because, this is a gimmicky show that is Halloween-centered right there. And I think you can't really have two other guys on NXT perform that kind of skit.
And not super overpitched cinematic match to be super taken seriously, putting a lot of stock into it. It happened. A good fold, good holdover, and we're moving on.
Really, I'm not huge on Dexter Lumis. I know you are a big fan. I am becoming a huge fan of Cameron Grimes. He's just over the top.
I also did like the cinematic style that was wrapped up in ring as well. Different view.
Yeah, it carried over to the actual ring. Like there was those zombies crawling all over Loomis. Those chicks were flexible. I think they were chicks. I think they were. Whatever they were, whatever they identify it as. It's 2020. You got to be politically correct. But yeah, that was a cool little touch to the show amongst all these good matches. And speaking of good matches that I actually was not really expecting to be that great was Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez. I thought that was a pretty solid match. What did you think?
It over-delivered for me. I did not expect to want to watch as much as I did.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like they are taller, bigger statured women.
That's Mista's exact comment.
Yeah, but they can go, man.
5'10" and 6 foot. Let's go.
They're both taller than me.
Yep.
You really didn't have to bring up their height. Now I'm thinking about them just towering over me.
Yep, and throwing you around that ring like a rag doll, baby.
We know what Rhea is, and obviously she gets a win here, probably the right decision, but I think Raquel Gonzalez held her own here, and she might be the one that got over in this loss.
Yeah, and that's that spot. They're in that interesting kind of middle ground with her. Raquel Gonzalez is in one of the strongest divisions in all of pro wrestling, in the NXT women's division.
Gotta be the best.
And she's going to have to stand out. Rhea made her look good. The right woman won. And I look forward to seeing Raquel Gonzalez again.
Yeah, and we're obviously going to see more of her. She's paired with Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai next week gets to face Ember Moon. That should be a pretty solid matchup, and probably will have implications on who the next number one contender might be.
Yeah.
You got to think that one of those two ladies would be next in line, and we know the main event, the NXT Women's Championship, TL Scares match, tables, ladders, and scares, right? These two basically just got after it right away. Like, there was no hesitation. Very quickly, they were trading spots, going at it. It felt sort of like that women's Hell in the Cell match that we got, because they didn't really care, and they were just going all out and throwing caution to the wind here.
Yeah, and to follow up a strong evening, to end with a match like this, the cherry on top of the proverbial cake.
It started at like 8:52 our time.
Yep.
And then I saw someone tweet, is this really going to end at 9? And I clicked the info button on my thing.
Yeah, like, nah.
9:08. It said 9:08 on the thing. So it's like, oh, this makes sense why they're starting it. Because they had Poppy come out and do EO's entrance, which I'm a big Poppy guy. I love Poppy. You got to get into Poppy, I'm telling you.
Yeah. I'm down with her when she shows up.
She might be leading a cult or something. I don't know.
Could be.
I'll join.
Yeah.
Join us.
Nope.
No. You know, Dark Order? Poppy? Next recruit?
Neither.
Okay. Sorry. But yeah, overall, this match is really good. The person in the mask that made an appearance at the beginning of the show, once again, would make an appearance here in the main event and tried to assist Candice LeRae. But then Shotzi Blackheart actually got involved. She wasn't having any of that crap. She said,
"Not
nope.
up in here. No.
Yep, no, Candice. You are not becoming the champion tonight." Io then wins by throwing Candice off a ladder into another ladder that was connected between the announce table and the ring. What about that landing? Ouch.
I was about to say, she ended up on her back, but she didn't land there. Like, holy moly.
It was like knee first, wasn't it?
It was leggy, weird angle first. Oh, It was a satisfying crunch on that ladder, though.
Oh yeah, that was the chef's kiss right there of that match, and it was honestly probably the match of the night. Yeah. If I were to go out there and say that for sure, these two are two of the best in the business. It kind of is unfortunate though that Candice still hasn't gotten her reign, but I'm sure her time will come. There's still a lot more opportunities out there, and the masked person. So they appear in the first part with Johnny Gargano, and then here in Candice's match. Who we thinking?
I got nothing, honestly. Somebody that will do the bidding for the...
I think it's a girl.
Garlano. The person I thought was big, physical, and strong.
Or they're two different people.
Match. Could be a pair. Could be a guy and a girl sort of together. Was it Mia Yim? I don't know.
Originally, I thought it was Ciampa because DIY, but then Ciampa cut that promo in the middle of NXT, so I was like, yeah, he's definitely not involved. Who I think it is, it could be too obvious too, but Indy Hartwell, she got involved in Candice's match 2 weeks ago. So that would be my only guess. She just is adopting the Gargano way and wants to show her gratitude and all that, but I think we'll probably find out next week, probably Shotzi versus whoever was under the mask and all that. But yeah, overall, this NXT, for me, might have been my favorite one of the year. From like top to bottom, like there was no miss.
Yeah, I agree.
So hopefully they can continue off of that momentum because there's some weeks when I watch NXT, I'm like, that was okay. Like, did I hate watching it? No. But like, was I really happy? No.
Yeah. After Halloween Havoc, it was a nice treat. We were not tricked.
I see what you did there. Hey, Halloween's coming up this Saturday. What are you being Spooky Fest?
My wife and I are going as two members of the Heist
They're
team.
Going to say Retribution.
No, never.
The Heist.
Yes, there's a show on Netflix called Money Heist, formerly in Spanish La Casa de Papel. They wear red jumpsuits and Dali masks. They take over the Mint of Spain, and it's really fun, really engaging. There's 4 seasons. Strongly suggested if you got time. Super comfortable costume. Easy to move in. Life is good.
Okay. Everybody probably already knows what I'm being. I posted the video on Twitter. Posted on TikTok.
Hate the wig.
Why?
You look like George Washington. In my opinion.
I mean, I didn't make the wig. So
I know.
What
are you going to do? I don't. It is what it is.
It gets itchy, too.
Oh, yeah.
And then Aaron was like, what are you going to do at the bar? It's like, I might bring a hat with me. And then he's like, oh, yeah, Ric Flair with a robe and a hat on. Yeah. That'll sell.
Yep.
I don't know. It's whatever. I wanted to be a wrestler just because, we're marks. That's what marks do on Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody's got any cool WWE or AEW-related Halloween costumes, you can tweet it at us at Pot on the Mark. We'll retweet it.
Heck yeah.
We got 300 followers now, so we're kind of a big deal.
We're getting there little by little.
Kind of a big deal, Tucky. But you got anything else you want to touch on before we go home?
No, just remember, obviously follow us on Twitter, but if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel for the Overtime Sports Network, head over to YouTube, subscribe to us, hit the bell for notifications. We're going. We post content over there as well. And then make sure you're following us on Twitter for the AEW Full Gear Kickoff Show.
No, you don't want to miss that one.
It'll be fun.
I wouldn't be surprised if other people are making an appearance because you're going to have a few people over to watch the event. And if they're there at 4 o'clock, they might as well join us, right?
Here we are, yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead, follow us at Pot on the Mark. 4 p.m. next Saturday is where you will hear us on Twitter to preview AEW's Full Gear. But that's all I got, Tucky.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling
Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the On the Mark Podcast.
Brock Lesnar going for an F5 to Cena for the championship. Lesnar with the cover.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Pod on the Mark. Pod on the Mark.